Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is Queen J Lotus Pimp Sun Kiss coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe for a relaxed Royale review again for the Bernie Mac Show, Season 1, Episode 10, Wanda's Week Off. So, once again, it's episode 10, and self-explanatory is Wanda's week off. So Wanda got a week off from work. Y'all know Wanda is our residential working girl, okay? And that's one of her standouts as a sitcom mom. Particularly of this particular era, because there are some working women sitcom moms, right? One that comes immediately to mind is Claire Huxtable. Okay. Jay goes back and forth on My Wife and Kids, but one prominent one that I think of mostly is Claire. We could also say Aunt Vivian on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. My mind kept wanting to say The Real Housewives of Bel-Air. So yeah, two main working women moms, sitcom moms that I can think of right off the bat that's like, real good examples of that is Claire Huxtable and Aunt Vivian. The difference and some similarities here is a difference between Aunt Vivian and Claire and Wanda is that Aunt Vivian's role as, what her career wasn't highlighted so much so as a part of her character. Like there were certain storylines and tropes that allowed for there to be specific focuses on that at, the time and place for it. But a lot of time we focused on the reverence of her as a wife, mother, aunt, confidant, okay? And she so happens to also be able to balance out having her own career, okay? And then the similarities with Wanda and Claire, their characters are led more so with their job more than not, or I could say their career more than not. When we think about Claire, we think Claire, the lawyer. Wanda, if you're familiar with this show, you think about Wanda, the on the very first episode, it was AT&T. Now it has a generic name. By that time, I guess they probably couldn't afford to pay for that. It might not have been AT&T. Whatever AT&T used to be, was that Singular South or something? Child. But whatever it was, she used like an actual brand name in the first episode. But basically, she got a real good corporate job with a phone company, cell phone company, Wi-Fi, all that. What they call it? Y'all know what I'm saying? And her job is associated a lot to do with her character, which is like such as this episode is so prominent, Wanda's week off, because Wanda is always at work. That's a part of her character trait. She's a workaholic. She's always at work. And so when she is around, it's in the meantime and between time of her not being at work. So she has the character trait of if she ain't at work, she getting ready to go to work, okay? Or she just getting out work, And Claire, while, the way that show was set up and written, she had a lot more, opportunities for depth and whatnot. And meaning, because Claire was not so much of a workaholic, we got to see more of the balance of her being a working woman and her being a wife and her being a mom and all these different instances and them coming together. And so because Wanda is a workaholic, we get specific episodes that highlight her having like the opportunity, okay? And it literally coming off like a once in a lifetime opportunity for her to show her maternal side. So like I want to start the intro off with all of that because I love to highlight the unique elements about this show, this one and My Wife and Kids specifically. I feel like they are both two shows that follow certain traditional formulas and they rebel them all at the same time, and it's beautiful. And this also, it speaks measures about the time period as well, the time periods as well, because for instance, The Cosby Show came out in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, and Fresh Prince came out in the 90s. Bernie Mac Show came out early 2000s. So we got three different decade eras, right? And in the 80s, there was this, I'm going to say for lack of better terms, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but there was this black agenda to combat the stereotypes of all of the hoopla that was going on during the 80s with all of the epidemics that was going on during that time, okay? Amongst the depictions that were overwhelmingly shown of black people, black families, and or lack thereof on television. So there was this very intentional need and desire to show the wife being balanced and well-rounded in such the way. Because it's given us like Claire has to be that so that we can show that that is possible and that it exists, right? So then we get into the 90s where things are a little bit more toned down in society, a little bit more cooler, a little bit more chill. So we have Aunt Vivian, and I'm speaking more so her character design originally, okay? But we have Aunt Vivian, who is very much so a working woman, serious, sophisticated, okay, disciplined, yes, but more laid back than a Claire. Like, she's sophisticated, yes, but she's not sedity, if you will. Claire, on the other hand, would be seen as more sedity, and like I said, due to like the time period, the circumstances, the agenda at hand, Claire had to be that. Claire had to be more upright, astute, you know. Whereas Aunt Vivian, given the time period, she doesn't have to be that. There's also a regional difference there. And Fresh Prince of Bel Air said in California, the Bernie Mac show is also set in California. Um, I keep wanting to say the Huxtables. The Cosby Show is set in New York, and so of course there's that difference in the like regional cultural functionality of things. New York is very much so more seen and thought of as much more like tight, on and go, on and go, on and go. Gotta get it. Whereas California, West Coast is seen more as laid back, chill, slow drag it, slow ride it, cruising, you know. And so we get that with Aunt Vivian's character where we know that she is very much so accomplished, striped up, got all of her things. However, what's understood don't have to be explained because she ain't got to do all that. She can chill. She can be laid back. She can go do karaoke at the mall. She can go do her dance classes and show the young bitches out, okay? She can vibe out with Will here and there, listening to some of his music, talking to him about Malcolm X and all of this and that. She can go do tennis and all this other things. She can go just live her best soft life, you know what I'm saying? And go teach some children when she get ready. Okay? She can go on down to MacArthur Park and snatch them up out the damn projects. And she'll grade them papers later. And so then here in the early 2000s, and we're dealing with a woman like Wanda, where in the early 2000s, there comes back this, I want to say, kind of like collective need, if you will. And I'm speaking like simply stated and for lack of better terms and whatnot, because this is like kind of a lengthy intro. But there's a method to the madness, okay? But yeah, it's like in the early 2000s, there comes back this need to prove that the black woman can work and climb that corporate ladder and be a wife, and we'll do that mothering shit later, but we gonna do the mothering shit. And a difference in like the early 2000s, and I see like kind of some of the pitfalls as well as some liberations coming from it, like in this era that we're in now. But in the early 2000s, it was way more common for girls and women to be encouraged against getting married and having kids, no matter what your age was. It was a whole lot of don't be getting married, don't be having no kids, go make something for yourself, do all that other shit later. It'll be there. Them niggas don't want nothing for you, no way. You know what I'm saying? Them babies ain't gonna do nothing but slow you down, no way. You have a baby that's the end of your dreams. You have a baby that's the end of your body. You have a baby that's the end of your teeth. Like, it was a whole lot of that being poured on the girlies' minds. And I also think a lot of that may have also kind of started in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe there was like this whole like teen pregnancy issue and whatnot. A whole lot of, you know, pitfalls and fallouts from the 80s and such. And it's given, like, bro, we've been in a long time coming of combating and trying to clean up the shit from the 80s. God damn, amongst other things. But yeah, dog. So in this episode specifically, we are going to get to explore Wanda battling with those different agendas. And I, without further ado, will go ahead and get into the specificities of such as we get through the episode. And of course, we open with a confessional monologue from your guy, Bernie Mac. And he starts us off by saying, America, every marriage has its up and downs. Bernie Mac is no different. Last week, it was down. You mean way down. Shake your body down to the ground down, honey. And he gonna tell us about it. So, last week, okay, is the contents of the episode that we are focused on. So, them in the confessional is set a week after the contents of the actual episode, as opposed to a lot of the other episodes where his confessionals are done as the episode goes on. So, okay, that's something to think about and keep in mind, okay? That whenever we are in the confessional with Bernie Mac on this episode, we are set a week after the contents of the actual episode. All right? All right. So, he goes on to say, if it's one thing that week taught him, is that even though it's his show, the Bernie Mac show, honey, he got to be fair and let everybody tell their sides of the story. Everybody mean him and Wanda, okay? And he gonna go ahead and introduce her. So he said, now addressing America for the very first time, all right? I'd like to introduce you to my best friend, the sugar in my coffee, the a la mode in my pie, the black in my eye peas. Her name is Wanda. Miss Wanda Mac, y'all. Now, I just got one thing to say on his introduction. The a la mode to his pie. The a la mode to his pie. Don't a la mode mean like one whole? So she's the whole to his pie, but the pie itself is not already whole. So I guess that's what he means. That like instead of saying you be the match, I be the fuse, you know, that's like two halves coming together to make a whole. He put two wholes together to make a pie. A la mode. Right? Is that right? I don't know. Help me out, y'all. Help me out. But in who, Wanda go ahead and steps on her cue. She steps on in the room, takes her seat, honey, looking real chummy and everything. She looking at the wrong camera. He got to tell her to get the camera in the middle, okay? She said, yes, sit on down. And she had this vacation all saved up on her job, and she had to use it or lose it. So she thought it'd be a nice time to spend some time at the house, okay? So what we get here, and what we're going to see even more so, is throughout the episode, how reliant on external validation Wanda is. Because even in this moment, you know, she's telling her story, she's doing her thing, and we can tell, like, you know, she's very nervous and everything, and like she's constantly looking to Bernie for validation, you know. Okay, I'm gonna hold that thought on there. We gonna keep pushing, right? So they wrap up on that confessional with him telling her, yeah, you know, it's cool, okay? And so then we ended up with them looking awkwardly at the camera, and we flash to last week. The alarm has gone off, and they are getting up, and Wanda stops Bernie from his usual routine of going to get the kids up, and she's like, hold on. You see a baby coming to you, what's the hold up? But she's like, hold on, I want to go get the kids up. I want to, you know, take my hand at getting them ready for school. You know what I'm saying? He said, why? She said, because I never get to spend any time with them, and this will be a real good chance for us to bond. It'll be fun, okay? So Bernie gives her a little smirk. He gonna say it, gets up out the bed, and he like, baby, it might be a lot of things, because he already know what time it is. Okay? And not just the time on the alarm clock. So he said, it's gonna be a lot of things, but fun ain't gonna be one of them, good baby. Okay? But she like, you get to be the mom all the time. It's my vacation. I want to be the mom. Now, Wanda, honey, it's your vacation and you want to be a mom? So we have some skewed understandings about what it means to be a mom, let alone about what it means to be a, you know, housewife type role. Which is a whole conversation within itself, right? Because a lot of women, and specifically like Wanda, or who have any semblance of, you know, a belief system like Wanda, that there's this attachment to what's that? It's like the sense of confidence is attached to task completion and rewards. You know, specifically external gratification. And I don't think Wanda particularly has an issue with instant gratification, but there is an unhealthy attachment to external gratification. Therefore, her idea, and many people's idea, of being a housewife is that you just be at home all day, and that like doing the cooking and the cleaning is just some easy, serene thing, and wandering around with the kids and all of that is just bubblegums and rainbows and just all of this plush and cotton balls and all of this other stuff. And so, in response to Bernie recognizing that she has this mindset, he says to her, baby, why don't you do something that is actually easy, like, I don't know, be a gardener. Child, I don't even think being a gardener is easy like somebody, but for Wanda, maybe being a gardener will be more easy for her, right? But anywho, so Wanda is like, fuck the bullshit, and she's gonna go find out the hard way through the simplicity of the task. I ain't saying that it's a simple task. I'm saying it's thought to be the, you know, simplicity because it's so casual, right? Go wake the kids up, right? That sounds so easy, huh? Okay, but peep out, she found out the hard way, all right? As Bernie is yelling to her that the key to the liquor cabinet is in the kitchen, she go in the room with the kids, talking about, wake up, sleeping beauty. Wake up, my darling. Wakey, wakey. That's right, everyone. Rise and shine. Let's start a beautiful day. And the kids raised up, looking at her long enough for her to walk about the room, and they immediately go right back to sleep. We transition over into the kitchen, where she in there, you know, prepping the table, prepping the bar, and glasses and everything, fixing breakfast, all that good stuff. Bernie come in there, he said, what the kids said? She said, they getting up, they be out in the gym. He said, how many times did you call them? She said, once. He said, once. You treat them kids like they civilized. He said, hold up. You see a baby coming to you, what's the hold up? I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to wake these kids up, booski. So he goes on in, he got a pot and like a spoon or something. He walks on in there. I ain't getting no sleep because of y'all. Y'all ain't no get no sleep because of me. Type time, okay? Bang-a-lang-a-lang it on out. He walk in there, all right, everybody. Y'all know the routine. I don't need you messing around, big baby. Guess what? It's showtime. And he let the sun shine on in on him, all right? He said, get her started. The oldest one, hit a ringleader. Don't need you messing around. Going over there to the boy. He take out some water, get to spraying it on him all in his face. He said, the boy hate water more than a cat. Child. Gets him on up. Then he goes on over to the baby girl. He said, you gotta get her blood like circulating. So he pick her up by her ankles and hang her upside down and just go shaking her like he trying to get chained out of pockets, honey. That is traumatizing. But he done got the job done, honey. He got him on up. He get him on out of there. He said, face wash, brush your teeth, all the good stuff. Rips Jordan's robe off. He said, you could have untied it first. He ain't worried about all that. So Bernie goes to, you know, lean into Wanda and lets her know, you gotta treat them kids like the convicts. You got to be creative. My God, today. So I'm gonna take a little second to kind of break down what just happened here and what Bernie just said. So the literal sense of treating the kids like convicts in order to get them up, that is not necessary. That is not, you know, okay, absolutely not. There is not ever a time where I would pick a child up and hang them upside down and shake them. Unless it just really got to a point where I felt like they stole something and it was just like rocking a hard place at this point, and now I gotta hold you upside down and shake you to see if what you stole falls out your pocket. Like, what's going on? Okay, but other than that, like, no, we're not gonna let. But the point I feel like Bernie is trying to make here is that where these kids come from, all that mew pew pew shit ain't gonna get it. You gonna have to balance it out with something that they're already familiar with, which is chaos. And I'll explain that a little deeper because I'm going to use another situation that comes up in just a minute to make that statement make more sense, okay? So we continue on. We're back in the confessional, and he's poking a little fun at her, of course, and she's going to look at the camera and say, is he always like this? So we get back to the kitchen, and she is in the throes of preparing breakfast. And he walk in, he like, what's all this? Like, and I'm talking about she got it loaded up. I'm talking about it look like Continental, like better than Continental. It looked like and Continental was really not a good word, but it looked like really expensive hotel type breakfast. It looked like another broken egg type breakfast. I think she made like some eggs Benedict type something or whatever. And he's like, them kids ain't gonna eat that. She said they'll eat mine. So he gonna get the cereal about the cabinet, sit on the table. She said that is a sad excuse for breakfast. Okay? Oh, it's egg Florentine. Okay, excuse me. This egg's name is Florentine, not Benedict. Okay? Let me see where these eggs get their name from. But hey, I peeped some symbolism going on here. Egg Florentine, huh? We'll come back to that. But they going back and forth with Wanda saying, I bet they eat my egg Florentine. And Bernie saying, I bet they won't. So, bring the kids on there, sit them down, and they looking at this stuff like it is straight up. Honey, I ain't even want to say a word that came to mind. But they looking at that. They looking at them plates and her like they want to fight. So she like, fuck it. She snatched up all the plates. She said, fine, hey, your cold cereal. I don't care. Bernie said, hold up. You see a baby coming to you, what's up? Hold up. I'll take one of them plates up off you. But I ain't gonna lie, we'll be salty as well if I see salty food and they ain't gonna eat it. Like, damn. But she could repurpose it. She don't gotta throw it away. She can repurpose the food. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's eggs. Like, I saw some potatoes on there. It's quite a few things on there, like, you know what I'm saying? This stuff can be repurposed. So she ain't just gotta throw it all away. You feel me? And so, this is the aspect where I wanted to make the other thing that was said make more sense. So, this is another aspect where she trying to give them too high of a 5. And she's needing to meet them where they at. That moment doesn't mean they can't ever like egg Florentine or something like that. But they don't know what that is. That's way out of their comfort zone and familiarity. So like, just for instance, because we're trying to rehabilitate them, right? So let's say, because you know those cereals can be like real sugary and whatnot. It's really not, you know, the best thing for them to be eating, especially starting the day off with, like every day or whatever. So if you know that they will eat eggs, you know that they will let's say eat an egg sandwich. Fix them egg sandwiches and season the egg in a manner that is similar to the egg Florentine, like however it tastes or whatever. Just for example, because they're familiar with the simplicity of a scrambled egg or, you know, whatever. They're familiar with the simplicity of a sandwich, an egg sandwich. Okay? And then you just slowly start adding in those other, you know, quote unquote sophistications, and eventually their palate will be more broad. And so with tying that with waking them up type shit, meeting them where they at first, getting them on a consistent routine of I mean business. When I come here and say get up, get ready, go to school, it's the routine, this is what's expected, big period. Once y'all are able to do that on your own without somebody having to say something or do all of this, then that'll be that. It's just a matter of like, Bernie will have to do his part in, at some point, giving them opportunities to, you know, do it without him doing the most, and then therefore, you know, like allow them to face their own real world consequences type shit, you know. Times and places. But shit, all that to say, we got a good concept and display bars of, you know, someone like Wanda trying to lovingly, you know, introduce the kids to her world, if you will, but she just gave them too high of a 5 to try to strive for. Gotta meet them where they at. So yeah, we push forward, okay? And Bernie is yelling, they got 90 seconds, or he pulling out. Wanda handing them their lunches and everything. They all hustling and bustling on about the door, but Wanda got to stop baby girl. And it's like, hold on, your shoes is untied. Baby girl don't know how to tie her shoes. So Wanda gonna take a second real quick to try to teach her how to tie her shoes. And she goes through the technicalities and fundamentals of it all, okay? So we got a good strength going on here with Wanda. She does it for her, showing her how to do it, and then she lets her do it on her own. Bernie is over there still in the energy of hustling and bustling and is not really trying to, you know, do all of that, but he letting it happen, okay? So he go over there and intervene at a point. But by that point, you know, she was already at the tail end of it and all that good stuff. And we get back to the confessional where Wanda is saying, you know, you really could learn a lesson in patience. And he gonna say, yeah, some other time. Proving the point. So I'm gonna pinpoint again Wanda's strength momentarily. So now he goes on in his confessional wants to highlight really bad how hard of a time Wanda had getting the kids to bed, okay? But what I want to point out going on here is Barney taking glee or getting glee, feeling glee in Wanda struggling in this role, right? So I think that a part of him interrupting the shoe time lesson was a part of him being a bit competitive. So there is a competitive nature in Wanda and Barney's relationship dynamic, which is very interesting, right? Because as we're here, Wanda is feeling passively proud of herself for having that moment with baby girl and showing her how to tie her shoe. And like I said, Barney wants to highlight how she had a hard time getting them prepared for bed. So She tried to say they was perfect little angels. And Bernie is like, roll that beautiful being footage. So we cut to the bathroom. And we see her at the sink. She helping baby girl, wash her hands, brush her teeth, get, all of those things together. Jordan won't stay in the tub. Okay, he's talking about he want bubbles. Bubbles give him a rash. Why you want bubbles if they give you a rash? Why are you being extra? I guess he's a kid. All the other kids, he having bubble baths. He want to do a bubble bath too. I mean, there are ways, but honey, not today. Like, so you just can't do it. Why are you acting like this? So, trying to get him to stay in the tub, he won't stay in the tub. Baby girl is doing pretty good right now. She's at least, at the sink doing her thing. She runs over, Wanda that is, fussing at Nessa because she won't get off the phone. She yelling back, I am getting off the phone. No, she just steady on the phone, honey, walking around. So they screaming back and forth at each other. Wanda goes ahead and walks off, trying to get back over to the baby girl and help her out. Then Jordan runs out of the tub. My God, today, we cut back to the confessional. And now, Wanda is inevitably having to admit they were not perfect little angels. They are monsters. And Bernie is like, I've been trying to tell you, man, treat me like I'm the bad guy. And so that's where I kind of get Bernie's point and why he's taking a bit of glee in, some of her struggles with the kids here. Because, it's kind of like, quote unquote, the roles are reversed, right? Because what we're used to seeing is the wife is the housewife, and the husband is always at work. And so the wife is like, the kid's doing this, the kid's doing that. I had this hard time with the kids, and this happened, and da 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 da. And then the husband like downplays, and it's like, oh, you're just whatever. Oh, they're just kids. How bad could it be? Like, oh, you're just dramatic. Oh, whatever, what have you. And so, what we've seen more so is kind of like that role reverse. And I don't think Wanda has downplayed it or necessarily treated him like a bad guy. But I will say she hasn't totally seen the whole picture. She has been more like, now, Bernie, you just being mean. Bernie, do you really got to yell like that? Bernie, like, come on now. And so, either way, though, those things can be invalidating because it's like, you wasn't here. So tell me how you really feel about me. Okay? And so I get him feeling vindicated and Wanda getting it to experience for herself the things that he has had to experience on a regular basis. And she was like, she got to the point where she felt like she wanted to off him. Okay, she caught herself, and Bernie was like, hey, it's okay. America understand at this point. They see me go through this every day, all right? But then Wanda redirects it all, you know what I'm saying? She's solution-oriented, okay? Because she said, I had a small victory, okay? And that's a plus. Bernie like, what she talking about? Well, what was a victory, huh? And she said, hush. Because I said what I said, and I'm going to say what I say, okay? Watch. Boom. So they roll that beautiful being footage of her wrangling Jordan back into the tub. And child, I highly commend her for not popping him with that towel after all that hoopla that he just put her through. Because that was a lot, baby. So she turns around and peeps that Brianna done got up out of bed. And she like, honey, I told you to get in the bed an hour ago. What is going on? Baby girl want to show her that she tied her shoes. She been in there practicing, okay? She could have tied my shoes out by myself just like you taught me. So now Wanda has to come on down up off her high horse and up off of her, tirade or whatever, wrangling Jordan. And now she has to accept this here victory. And it's building her up so delightfully. And she's hugging baby girl so tight. She suffocates. Okay. And I have wondered, I think I may have said this in one of my other review videos, but I have wondered for a while if the actress that played baby girl was actually a good actress, or was she just actually annoying and it just so happened to work for the character because the character is annoying. By this time in the show, I'm thinking that the actress that plays baby girl is in fact a good actress. And it has a lot to do with her facial expressions. In this episode, she does a lot of non-verbal acting in this episode. And that's a lot of the time what's a turning point for me when I'm observing other actors and actresses acting and whatnot. Usually, if I'm seeing them do a lot of non-verbal acting and I'm like, ooh, damn, that's great. Like, then I'll be like, okay, yeah, okay. Not to say that I'm the end all be all on it. I'm just telling from my perspective. A little bit of how I be looking at shit. Because in case you ain't know, much like the little boy from All of Us, baby girl annoys me. Has always annoyed me. She is one of the child characters in sitcoms that I ain't ever really liked. But watching it back, I have more of an appreciation for her character. I wouldn't say that I necessarily like her character now or just yet, but I have more of an appreciation for it. And I'm starting to feel like the actress that played her, she was actually doing a good job at acting and not just being an annoying little girl that so happens to be playing an annoying little girl. But anywho, Wanda is so excited. She got to run on down and tell her man. So she hustles on to the room. And she like, I got to tell you what Brianna just did. He started directing her to cleaning products, thinking that she didn't made a mess or something. And she like, no, she tied her shoes. He said, what? She said she tied her shoes. She tied her shoes all by herself, just like I taught her. It was incredible. And she goes on and she's like, I taught her something that she would take with her for the rest of her life. It's an unbelievable feeling. I can't describe it. And Barney gonna say, I'm sure you'll certainly find the words, baby. By the time you go in there, find me a beer and bring it back to me, huh? You're disrespectful, sir. You're disrespectful. She had a hard day. She finally found herself, you know what I'm saying, a silver lining and whatnot, and you just gone. Big boss her like that, they fucked up. It'll turn into a whole different situation. I don't fight. I don't argue. I just hit that. What about her? I hit that. What about her? Stop playing with me. I'm sorry. Anyway, so, pan on. He done basically, just totally pissed on her cornflakes. So we've officially made it to the second act of the episode. And Wanda is out at the market. She runs into a friend of hers who is a pregnant ad. And she goes on to tell her, I just had the most incredible experience. I taught Brianna how to tie her shoes. And she's so exhilaratingly excited. And the lady is like, that's it? But she's not, just totally raining on her parade or nothing. But she is like, not really tuned in or getting it. And I don't know. I think it's kind of unfortunate that they don't get the simplicity. Like, they're saying that it's so minuscule. But tying your shoes is something that you do every day. Now, granted, you ain't got to wear shoes that have shoestrings, right? But I'm saying, as a kid, more often than not, they're wearing tennis shoes. Like most kids, more often than not. They're wearing tennis shoes or some sort of shoe that has shoestrings that need to be tied. And it really is something that, is not thought of too much because most of the time, like kids learn how to tie their shoes at very young ages. And so people don't have to constantly stop and tie their shoes for them. Like, it seems small, but it's really a convenience. Like, think about the person who made straws. Like, yeah, we see straws as something so fucking minuscule. We just use them and throw them away and all that good stuff. But really think about the convenience that straws give us. Think about the fact that whoever created the straw thought about some shit that when nobody else thinking about, then nobody else think was important. And think about how much money that the state probably has. Hey, I'm just saying. Okay? So, I just think it's unfortunate that they don't think it's, I don't know, it's like they don't think it's important unless she, like, saved Brianna from a shark or something. And it's just like, why does it have to be something that's so extreme for her to, like, want to celebrate it? And this is where I tap back into Wanda's strength, right? Because I feel like the type of career that she has is one that requires her to be the type of person that is good at celebrating small victories and having them build up to bigger victories. Because that's like how that world tends to work. Because it can take a long time to build up to where you're trying to go in that industry. And therefore, in order to keep some semblance of sanity and keep going, you have to capitalize off of small victories. Amongst, you have to be able to teach as well as follow. And I feel like that's a great strength that Wanda has been displaying throughout the episode. And specifically teaching, as it gets to the specificity of her teaching baby girl how to tie her shoes. So it makes sense that she would really be enamored by the victory of having taught baby girl anything, even if it was just the ABC song or some shit. I feel like Wanda would be like extremely in tune with that because it's in tune with who and how she is as a person. And also now, folks ain't got to keep stopping to tie baby girl's shoes because she can tie them herself now. So that it's like it marks a turning point to a level of independence for baby girl. Like even as kids, each level of your childhood embarks you upon a new level of independence. First, you got to be fed from a bottle or mama's titty. Then you got to be fed from a spoon or whatever. You go from the bottle to the sippy cup and such. Then you're able to have a real bottle. All of these things build up to different levels of independence, going from being spoon-fed to being able to go in the kitchen and fix your own bowl of cereal. Things that also contribute to certain things like the morning routine being easier. Remember what I said, like at a certain point where they have it in them, instilled in them, through the consistency, eventually they be able to get themselves up in the morning. Go in there, brush their teeth themselves. Okay? So like Wanda wouldn't have to chase Jordan and go in the bathroom and help baby girl brush her teeth. She can already brush her teeth. Or she ain't got to run and chase Jordan and help baby girl tie her shoes. She already know how to tie her shoes. You know what I'm saying? So it seems so small once, like, I guess you feel like you are far ahead in your parental journey. But it's like even with Bernie, her doing that one, what you think is a little thing, contributes to making your part easier as well. Because again, you're helping her embark upon gateways to new levels of independence. And considering how that correlates with Wanda's character, again, it makes sense why she would feel so enamored and adorned by this victory because Wanda is all about independence, okay? Like, yeah, she married, but she's an independent woman, okay? Even if she wasn't married, even if she left Bernie today, she would still be an independent woman, able to stand on her own 2 feet and do for herself. You feel me? Again, symbolism throughout this episode. Able to stand on her own 2 feet. Stand on her own 2 feet. Tie shoes, honey. Tie your own shoes. Hey, independence. So yeah, in the middle of them, chit-chatting and whatnot, their conversation is interrupted by her friend's baby kicking inside the womb. And she lets Wanda touch and all this. They must be real close. She let her touch her belly. But yeah, and so they're bonding over the baby kicking and whatnot. And so we're able to see the wheels turning in Wanda's head. Okay. She is getting baby fever real strong, like real strong, like. So we cut back to the house and we get a montage of her basically fantasizing. She's in the closet, stuffing clothes under her shirt, you know, seeing how she would look pregnant. I think, you know, cute. Okay. Baby girl is coming in and she catches her, asks her, is she pretending, playing dress up and whatnot? And she like, yeah. So then we cut to Bernie on the couch, want to go in there and sit next to him, and he's holding his bowl of chips like a baby, like he's cradling a baby on some shit. And so she's seeing it as if he's actually holding a baby and feeding the baby and whatnot, but it's just him eating chips, watching the game, drinking his beer. So she got the baby fever real bad, honey, so bad. We segue on to that night, right? And Bernie brushing his teeth, she laying on the bed reading something, and she starts talking about, do you think that I should trade in my car? He said, what you talking about? You just got the car. What is going on? She said, I'm saying, you think it's safe? He said, I don't think anything, baby. She said, how can you say you think it's safe? He said, I didn't say it was safe. She said, I think we should be more concerned about safety. You know, as kids in the house. He said, okay, Wanda, think about safety. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm saying sorry, but I'm sorry. I said, okay. A miss. So she's still over there, you know, in her head and in her field. So she get on up and she walk in the bathroom with him and says, Bernie, I was thinking, remember when we was talking about adding another room onto the house? He said 6 years ago. She said, Bernie, I'm not looking for a fight. He said, what the hell is going on, babe? She said, I just got a question. I'm trying to ask you a question. He said, what are you talking about? I'm saying you just coming here talking about this car safe. You talking about another room? Oh, what you doing? What you want to know? What we doing? She said, don't put this on me, Bernie, huh? Okay, I'm just saying, if we bring another person into the house, he said, well, who are we bringing into the house? See, that's where she messed up anyway, because she knows this man is already kind of low-key, high-key, antisocial, and you just start speaking generally about somebody else coming into the house to the extremity of needing another room, let alone. Y'all already, you know what I'm saying, got some new kids, yeah, out of nowhere. Yeah, no, you freaking this man out, stressing him out. Probably serves him right though, because he was going out of his way to, you know, take glee in her angst. So I don't know. Okay, so she just was like, you know what, you want like that? Let's just drop it. He said, I'm not acting, huh? What's what? Child, he is terribly confused. Her booty looks nice in this shot as she turns over and is ignoring him. I just had to point that out and give props where it's due. But we cut to, you know, one of Bernie's signature poker nights, and he's talking to the guys, and they're telling him she's nesting. She is looking for to have a little baby Mac. You know what I'm talking about? And he like, oh, no, we ain't doing none of that. We ain't having no baby. I put my foot down. His friends said, I put my foot down 4 times. They said, how many kids you got, pimping? He said, 4 them. So they giving him the general consensus of watch your back. Hey, I would also say watch your front. That would be the most important thing to watch in this type of scenario. No? So now we is back at the bedroom ranch, and he trying to get all cozied up in the bed with Wanda and whatnot. Talking about he trying to put a little chip in her dip and dip in her hip. You know what I'm saying? And so they is getting into it, and she gonna say, I wonder if our baby would have the same sense of humor as his daddy. Honey, why she say that? I'm talking about his moisture dried all the way up, all the way. He started looking at her real dirty. And he said, funny, baby. She said, yeah, we had a baby. He like, oh, no. He said, why you asking? You trying to get pregnant? So he don't even give her a chance to answer. He just started going on this whole tangent talking about, see. I see what you're doing. I see what you're talking about. I see what you're trying to do. All of a sudden you're talking about an extra room, a safe car. You ain't been taking your pills, have you? Real disrespectful with it. Real disrespectful with it. So she like, what are you saying? He said, you know what I'm saying. She said, you saying you don't trust me? You think I'm trying to trap you? Well, if that's the case, then maybe we shouldn't have no baby. And he said, you got the right motherfucking idea. So I'm like, boom, TikTok. You don't trust her, Barney? Damn. That's crazy. So she, you know what I'm saying, she pump fake real quick, right fast, bluff it up, and he like, Then she started boo-hooing and crying, saying, well, yeah, baby, and he said, why are you vexing me like this? Like, what is going on? Something I appreciate, something I appreciate about these scenes, in this episode is that we get to see, because he uses the term vex. He said, why you vexing on me? And I understand that to be, like, it's a word, right? But I understand that word to be prominently used by people from a specific era. And like specific types of men of that specific era, they tend to like have this mild player pimp culture type thing. And so that term vex, you vexing on me, she vexing me, is usually used towards women. It's usually used to say like, you're not doing what the man wants you to do. You're being inconvenient for the man. Like you hear that used in it's a lot of old songs, like songs of like the 60s, 70s, 80s. I've heard predominantly the men use that term in the songs, and they be like, she don't vex me, or she be vexing you, or like Sean Paul's song, what do you say? And the next to us, and son, they not vex with us, or something like that. Yeah. So yeah. Things like that stand out to me. It's like character information type shit, which can give us like some information on their history of their relationship and their marriage, because as independent woman type shit Wanda is, she is also like the type where if she with a man, he gonna take care of her 50-50, huh? What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? So their relationship has a healthy version of the cat daddy baddie dynamic, and it's giving that this conversation has brought out some sort of wound because it gives Wanda's the type of chick, and like potentially in her younger years, where kind of like Janae on the game, how Janae on the game kind of came off, and how a lot of people felt like because she liked nice things and expects to be taken care of by her man, whoever her man is, that she's a gold digger and she's just looking to money grub off of niggas. But Janae came from money. And it gives that Wanda probably comes from a more wealthy type background as well. Maybe not rich, probably upper middle class, lower upper class probably. But one way or another, very likely grew up financially privileged. And so it's not a matter of her trying to just leech off a man's money. It's her truly understanding the value of being protected and provided for because you have the experience to validate such the concept. A lot of people don't miss what they haven't ever had, you know? And then there are people that you can't fool, you can't shortchange, you can't convince them to settle for less because they were born into more. And Bernie, coming from a more impoverished background and having built himself up from the mud type shit, will come upon a girl like her. Probably be kind of intimidating for him, probably triggering for him in certain ways, probably at certain points felt like she may have been out of his league, or even felt like, you know, had a, because there's a thing, there are people who think that people with money are innately good because they got money, and then there are people who think that people with money are innately bad because they have money. And so he could have felt like, you know, initially she just some spoiled brat looking for somebody to fund her life, you know, and then eventually stayed around her, kept getting to know her, they vibe about this and that, have different conversations, hearing what her goals are, hearing what her, you know, ambitions and aspirations are, seeing her strengths and all of this and that, and feeling like, oh, okay, this is my one, I can do this. Because, you know, she elevate him in certain ways, and then also allow him to stay in his comfort zone in certain ways at the same time. And so it's like, this situation is throwing him off because it's giving like, I thought I knew you. Like, I read you wrong first, then I felt like I got to know the real you, and now I'm like, wait, did I read you right at first? And then you fool me? What the fuck is going on? But that also be that thing, and that's why I feel like it's a good stamp, the language being used amongst them, especially as it concerns this conversation, because it's highlighting the gender role thing. Whereas a lot of men are conditioned, socialized, raised to believe that women are just one way and they're all that way, or it's only three types of women: a good woman, a bitch, and a hoe. Okay, and if she a good woman, she gonna be a good woman all the time. Bubblegums and rainbows, cook, clean, spot, everything just perfect. If she's a bitch, she gonna be yang, 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 yang all the time. If she a hoe, all she wanna do is fuck, and she just gonna fuck everybody, just fuck, 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 fuck. Run a checkup and take all these niggas' money and leave them dusted. Which is dehumanizing. It's getting to the point of they don't see women as human. You know, often socialized, raised, conditioned, trained to not see women as human beings who are ever changing, who are whole and multidimensional. And at one point, we may feel one way. And at another point, it can change because that's life and that's how humans are. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to evolve. Certain things should be consistent, right? But certain things should also be ever changing as well. Ebbs and flows. Earth, wind, and fire, honey. They all got their different natures, times, and places. And so, yeah, I think this is something that like comes up in a lot of people's marriages and causes issues in that way, when it's that gender role thing going on specifically, because the men don't realize that eventually the woman will grow and change. As you grow, you change, and mindset changes, and things change, and all of that change, you know. And they start to just freak the fuck out over the simplicity of change. And it may not even be nothing that's bad. It can be like, for instance, what I've heard a lot. Oh, and this is another sitcom example, right? So Good Times, when Florida wants to go back to school. A part of it is James being misogynistic and pig-headed, and another part of it is him being afraid of change and what that, you know, could mean for him, because he just saw like, oh, you've been uneducated all this time, you've been happy being uneducated all this time, and now you want to change. And I think something in their mind says, if they change this thing, then eventually they're going to want to change me out. They're going to want to throw me away. They want to change husbands too, instead of just thinking, she can just add this to her life and still be her, just with some new additions. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's like it's something where it could be all be so simple, but people rather make it hard. But it's it's very common, very fascinating. So I would love to hear y'all's thoughts, opinions, experiences, stories, and whatnot. On such the thing. Drop it in the comments if you will and able. So yeah, child. They go through this whole thing. Wanda is still boohooing and crying. She trying to get her question answered. Bernie is still on a tirade, and eventually he just shut her completely down. He said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go ahead," and he didn't say fuck it, of course, but he just like, "Look, here's the answer. We ain't have no baby. Case closed. Boom. TikTok." Child, hurt her polar feelings, hurt mine. He didn't have to do her like that. He didn't have to do her like that. Especially after you done went in there, got her all hot and bothered, cozy, all this good stuff, and then you just shut her on down like, goddamn, brought her up to bring her down. Piss, po. So she gets on up, grabs her a couple of cloths and things, and he said, "Baby, you ain't gotta go sleep on no couch." She said, "Oh, I'm not." And she chunked all this shit aside his head. So she is sending Bernie to the couch. If they had a doghouse, that's probably where he'd actually be. And I don't blame her because he didn't have to shut her down like that. Like, listen, communicate, actually hear what she's trying to say. But he is just having hairpin trigger responses to his fear of everything that she is saying instead of listening to her, which I feel like it's fucked up. I feel like he's just not used to her being so vulnerable. He's not used to her showing that maternal element of herself, that form of femininity of herself, because he's so used to her being the strong woman, the what do you call it? Her Rosie the Riveter type vibe. It's like Wanda is a tomboy in all of the ways that don't have to do with getting her hair and makeup done and looking good in a cute top, some tight jeans, a bodycon dress, that type shit. Or even like literally, and I think that's the term I was originally trying to think of, the rich auntie. The rich auntie. And there's an element to that is masculine in a stereotypical sense, but dark feminine, which is not bad or evil. It's just not the soft, dainty, nursing, nurturing, baby on the titty, fruit basket on the head type thing. Empress. Wanda is more woman king energy as opposed to empress. And so her showing this empress side of herself is throwing Bernie off because in his mind, the way he's been socialized, he's like, wait, I didn't know you were that type of woman. Which goes back to what I said about a lot of males being socialized to think that all women are either just one way or that there are only three types of women: a bitch, a hoe, and a good woman. Tisk. So it's like all this time, I thought you was a good woman. Now you switching up. Now I'm trying to figure out, are you a bitch or a hoe? Which one is it? Either one, I ain't dealing with it. So we officially in the third act. And we open it up with the confessional. And baby, Wanda is not there. Wanda is not in the room with us. Wanda has left the building. Wanda has exited stage left. Or I guess it would be her stage right. And Bernie explains to us that she is really embarrassed and she did not want to see this part again. And she was so upset that day that she had left the house. I guess she left the house the same way she left the confessional. By the time we got to this here part, Wanda got an issue with abandonment, but like on the end of being an abandoner. Wait a minute, Wanda, the kids got abandonment issues. I think Bernie got abandonment issues too. You got to find a different, I don't know, but maybe she hit them where they, where they would notice. So maybe it's impactful. Let's see. All right, so we segue into the day, and baby girl comes on out into the living room, and she like, where's Wanda? And Bernie lets her know that Wanda left the house. She had to go out to get some air tints and some things and this and that. Baby girl said, because she promised me that we was going to be making some candles together. Like, what is going on? What's going on? And Bernie gonna say, well, she told me that she would love and obey me. So I guess we both disappointed. Sir, get it together. Okay? And baby girl is like, I just want to make candles. Big period. Bernie talking about we can't right now, baby girl. Why not? He's talking about because Aunt Wanda is not here. Why she asks, is Aunt Wanda in rehab? What is girl? What's she been watching? What's she been listening to? Who said what? Why would she say that? He said she just went out for. He said she just went. Oh no, baby girl. Oh no. See, I said the kids got abandonment issues. She can't be doing that. Because I just thought about. That's why she said that. Oh, baby girl. Because their mama was on the drugs. My God, today. So that's why she think if Wanda done randomly left, especially after she promised something, she must be going to rehab. That's terrible. And so I think Bernie's competency of this leads him to say, look, come on. She's not in rehab. I'll make some candles with you. And so we flash to Aunt Wanda, not in rehab, but at a spa. She get a massage, okay? Ladies getting the fingers, the toes, the feet, the calves, all of the things. And we pop back, and they are doing some serious candle making. I ain't gonna lie, this look fun. I might get me a kit. see about some things. Sure, okay? And so baby girl said that she making her candle for Aunt Wanda, and it's gonna be her favorite color. Now, honey, the candle that she working with is like a pinkish type color. And Bernie said, I thought her favorite color was blue. And then he, after kitchen, correct himself. And it's like, you know what? You're right. That is her favorite color. Mm-hmm. And we cut back to Wanda still out getting some air. And this version of her air is a milkshake that she done guzzle down quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then she immediately asks for another one. And this time she wants sprinkles in it. Did man gonna tell her, we don't usually do that. Did anybody ask y'all what y'all usually do? Is there a policy that says that you cannot put sprinkles in the cup for her milkshake? Is there a policy that says that? Is it anything that says that somebody might die because you put some damn sprinkles in her milkshake? No. So, do what you told, nigga. Like, God, she ain't asked you to build a house. She ain't asked you to spike her shit with no liquor. She just asked for some sprinkles. What are you doing? Put the sprinkles in the cup. You see she having a hard time. She paying you. I'm sure she gonna tip you. Put the sprinkles in the cup. So, she make it home that night. Eases on into the kitchen. Real smooth. She staying by and eavesdrop first and just listening to the kids and Bernie in there chit-chatting, dilly-dallying, doing that candle thing. That's all look real fun. Look like they really came up with some good stuff. So Bernie's getting up, go get towels and such, and Wanda's still being incognito, and she slips in while Bernie goes and gets the towels. And she slips in, and they immediately fussing at her because they like, we made at you. You promised us that you was gonna do this for us, and then you went away. Like, what are you doing? You said you're gonna play with us, and we ain't seen you all day. What is going on? And Nessa, she reels it in, and she like, it's Bernie's fault, ain't it? Mm-hmm. And Wanda says, no, it's not his fault. I feel like it is. She says, well, partly. See, she couldn't even hold it. But she goes on to say, your Aunt Wanda has been going through her own thing, and she's dealing with it. And honestly, I don't feel like she said anything wrong, but she felt the need to correct herself and say she wanted to be the mom this week, okay? But she forgot about that, and she's sorry. So I feel like all that she said was necessary to say and great to say. She goes on to say, it's one day left before she got to go back to work, and she would love to be the mom again, and they can have some real good fun, okay? So then it transitions to them in the living room. They all dressed up. Honey got their wigs on, using hairbrushes and hair combs and stuff as mics, and they are doing Proud Mary. I love it, and I love when homage is being paid to Tina Turner, absence of making fun of her abuse. I think it's also some pretty good symbolism as well, considering the fact that this episode did play on the power dynamics in their marriage amongst the gender roles in their marriage and how the gender roles impact the power dynamics in their relationship. I also love how they did this without trying to humorize abuse in any type of way. Because I feel like a lot of shows that tackle the power dynamics and relationships between men and women, they always end up making fun of abuse one way or another. And so I think it's something really telling and really truly creative when you're able to tell the story, make the points, be funny, and not at the expense of people who are not at the top in the power dynamic, if you will. I mentioned that egg symbolism as well at the beginning of the episode. Of course, eggs tying into cracking some eggs. She wanted her eggs cracked to make a baby. Their performance their performance of Proud Mary is wrapped up by Bernie entering, and she sends the kids on off to go get themselves prepared for bed, and he's like, so you not mad at me no more, huh? And she said, we should talk. He said, yeah. I want to point out that he looks real good in his blue shirt. Bernie be looking good, honey. Bernie be looking good. DLG, daddy look good, okay? Okay. So they back in the room. I love this shot. I love when they do shots where they have the camera on one character that's sitting next to a mirror, and so they're catching the other character's reflection. And here, Wanda is sitting next to the mirror, and Bernie is sitting on the bed. So the camera's on Wanda, and we're seeing Bernie by way of his reflection in the mirror, which I feel like is also cool and good symbolism as well. To like again, in the discussions and the themes and the symbolisms of the power dynamics and dynamics in general, their gender roles, their turning of tables, switching of places, and all of that. What are they reflecting to each other? What are they reflecting about themselves? Boom, TikTok. So, in the discussion, Wanda says, here's the thing. I've not communicated with you clearly about what I want. I agree. She was all over the place. She goes on to say, but you cannot shut the door on me when I talk to you. Because take it back to when she was first talking about, like, should I trade in my car and this, that, and third. Granted, Bernie was caught off guard, so I'm not, doing too much on him. Howsoever, as her husband, as her soulmate, he should have been like more in tune to her on like a telepathic level. I'm not saying read her mind, but read that she needs you to unlock some doors for her. She needs you to, it's like she put the moisturizer on and she needs your help to rub it in. And it's like, because Wanda is usually so independent, he didn't peep. She needed help rubbing her moisturizer in. And even it irritated him because he like, wait, you usually so independent. Why the fuck you need my help for this now? You know what I'm saying? As opposed to being tuned in like, okay, my wife needs something different. Let me see if I can listen to try to figure out what that is. And he was not actively listening. He was listening to respond, and he was also responding only enough to hurry up and get her out of his face. I think a difference in their communication, their soul level communication as well, is the addition of the kids in the house. On an energetic level, if you and your mate been living together and it's just been y'all living together the whole time, then yeah, y'all's like telepathic, nonverbal communication probably booms. But then when someone else moves in with y'all, like whether it's kids, a kid, or an adult, or whoever, someone else moves in with y'all, it's extra energy in there now. So that extra energy, just the presence of it, can then like cause noise in y'all's telepathic communication. So I do think that the new addition of kids has been causing noise in their telepathic communication. Like ordinarily, he probably would have been able to just tune in and recognize she needs something more than she usually does in this moment. But his energy being distracted by the energy of the kids gets in the way of him being able to hear her on a soul level in that way. And I would even say gets in the way of him being willing to hear her on that level because he's tired. He's tired, he's exhausted, he wants to be left alone. And then on top of that, you're talking about a bunch of other new stuff. Like, we're already dealing with the new addition of the kids. We're just now getting adjusted to that. And now you're talking about something else new or someone else new. Whoa, 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 partner. But like she says, unconditionally, he can't just shut the door on her like that. He can't just shut her down like that when she's talking, you know, just because he's afraid of what she's saying or don't like what she's saying or he triggered by some word that she's using or whatever, what have you. Because men tend to do that. Now, you know, even in an extra petty sense, you could say something, like you could say a whole paragraph to a man and he will respond to one specific word that you used. And there are times and places where there are a lot of men who, you know, feign ignorance in such the way. And they do that to irritate you, to keep this on this endless cycle, to tire you out, to just shut up. But there are also men who just, like, they just don't know until they know. And you have to break their fourth wall of socialization in the way that Wanda is doing here. You know, there can be some other methods, but what Wanda is doing here is another way to break their fourth wall of socialization, to remind them that you are a human being and you have a voice. You have things to say, you have things going on, like you're a whole person. And just because I say one word that you're unfamiliar with, and it is paralleling a lot of other things of the episode that she introduced, like the egg Florentine. Ha ha ha, there goes that symbolism again with the eggs. Correct. But yeah, it's like the egg Florentine, like waking them up with softness and delicacy, introducing those things to them, and, you know, basically having them shut down and dismissed simply because they are unfamiliar. It's very similar to another Fresh Prince reference, very similar to the MacArthur Park episode, specifically when they go over there and Debo is a part of the collective that's over in MacArthur Park. And every time Carlton says, you know, what would be considered a big word, Debo wants to fight him. And it's like he literally wants to fight him simply because he is different, simply because he is being different. He is using different words that he is unfamiliar with. He simply wants to fight him simply because he is unfamiliar. It's for no good reason. Besides, mainly, like, there are a couple of reasons, but it's for no good reason. And one of the main reasons is simply because it is unfamiliar. And I want to use this opportunity to pinpoint something that I didn't mention from one of the confessionals earlier in the episode. And it's where they were discussing the egg Florentine, her failure with the kids on that. And he was like, make them some of your apricot something, he said. And he was like, you know, they don't know about that. They black. And she said, I'm black. And he was like, let's move on. Because what's to be understood is that America, quote unquote, when he looks in the camera and he's speaking to America, he's not saying the white part. The white part is silent. He's speaking to, quote unquote, white America. And so there's this thing in the black community of black because you skin folk versus black because you have a specific type of experience. And what I clocked, for one, is him saying, let's move on in that moment, was him basically like communicating that ain't white America's business. We gotta keep white America out of our black ass business type shit. That's an in-house conversation for black people type shit, you know? But so to like kind of unpack that, gosh, I'm trying to find a way to say it swiftly because it's very loaded and I can relate to this like heavy. There's a thing here of Wanda It's not said straight up. Like, it was a very quick moment in the episode where it happened, but it's being communicated throughout the actions and even in her expressing in this conversation here, right? Because again, being shut down due to unfamiliarity, which in the black community, that tends to happen. If it's not synonymous with poverty or struggle, there's a large collective of black people from impoverished backgrounds that will say, that ain't right, that ain't it, that ain't black enough, shut that shit down, get up out my face with it. And mind you, Wanda is not dark skinned, but Wanda is not light skinned. Wanda is very obviously black, right? But a lot of people, like I just described, would not see her as obviously black because her packaging is unfamiliar to them in association with her skin tone. So despite her skin tone, because it's not wrapped in struggle and poverty, or what they understand to be struggle and poverty, that ain't black. And it's terrible and it's ignorant. It's terrible and it's ignorant. And it is disservicing. And I love that, can't think of her name right off the bat, but the actress that plays Wanda, and therefore Wanda, has the phenotype that she does, because usually when they play on things and tropes of that nature, where there's like, a character is kind of having to fight for their place in the black village type shit, it's usually a light-skinned character or a biracial character, racially ambiguous one way or another, light-skinned, that type shit. So I appreciate that, it's showing not just the light-skinned people have that struggle. There are certain monoracially black people that also have that struggle simply because they are not wrapped in a packaging that represents struggle and poverty. And I'm saying packaging, so don't get caught up in the aesthetic of it all, because it also has to do with like a way of doing things, such as, like I said, an egg sandwich versus a whole like formal plate of egg Florentine. Chicken tetrazzini versus chicken spaghetti. You feel me? So yeah, back in the depths of their conversation. So outside of there being this like playing on Wanda's sense of blackness, there's also playing on her sense of womanhood, right? And even in the way that she's communicating here, it's quite passive, and she's making all her statements in the form of questions, such as like, I will tell you what I want, and I have a right to do that, right? I will change sometimes, and I have a right to do that, right? Like, she's making declarative statements and ending them with questions, which goes back to what I pinpointed about Wanda, as we've seen her mostly being displayed in like, very bombshell, very confident, very certain of herself, very know what it is, what it ain't gonna be, gets it done, like just very sure of herself, a pillar of confidence. But this episode really highlighted how much she still needs reassurance, validation, gratification, how much she still is human. She's still human. As strong as she is, she's still human. Even in her human moments, she displays strength, because it is strengthful, especially in recognizing that she feels some sort of timidness in the conversation. Like, there is some level of fear there in speaking up for herself as it concerns this topic, but she's still doing it. She's still there. Like, she's not in a pitiful state or anything of that nature, even in asking for validation and gratification. And I love the entirety of how their relationship is displayed, honestly. Like, yeah, they have like certain issues that come up, but like even in arguments, it doesn't go too far. And then I love the way that they reconcile. So, and her speaking her piece and all that good stuff, and also asking for her reassurance and gratification at the end of all of her sentences, Barney does not like, he doesn't initially like straight up answer with his mouth. He answers non-verbally through his body language. He just grabs a hold of her and pulls her in and says yes. And it taps back to like what I was saying about their non-verbal telepathic communication. It's like that exchange showed the connection reigniting right there. That telepathic soul level tune up. It tuned up right there. You know what I'm saying? So it just goes to show, like, the kids don't have to destroy the connection. It can be tuned up. And the kids may even bring up a challenge in the connection. You can use that challenge to tune up your attunement, if that's a word, in your relationship. And it taps back into Wanda's nature. And what I said is in her nature to capitalize off of small victories. And her nature in doing so. And just starting with the simplicity of the tying of this shoe, despite the challenges, despite her flaws, Bernie's flaws, all that, her ability to capitalize off of small victories, as well as to still stand up and speak her piece, even when she is not feeling her most confident and secure, those are her strengths. And her strengths, even in her vulnerability, amongst her vulnerability, tunes up their motherfucking connection. And child, that is the motherfucking beauty and glory of a woman. The heart of a woman. Yes. That's why they say when a man finds a wife, he finds a great thing, honey. What would Bernie be without her? Just some grumpy old man wearing nice shirts, running around yelling at the kids all crazy. And so it goes to show, like, Wanda ain't gotta be BB Homemaker. She ain't gotta be the greatest fucking housewife. She ain't gotta be Brie Vanderkamp or none of that shit. Who and how she is her worth. Her worth is not attached to her job. It's not attached to completing all these tasks or even teaching Brianna how to tie her shoe. It's her ability to celebrate small victories. Using her voice in the face of fear, as well as knowing when to hold them and when to fold them, okay? Though it was triggering for her to, jump ship when she did. She left when it got some air, when it got her massages and all that good stuff. She needed that. Like, that's why I said she didn't say nothing wrong when she came in and was like, your Aunt Wanda is going through something and she's like dealing with it. I don't think she said nothing wrong. I think it did, it was good that she followed up with the rest of the stuff, but I still don't think that it was nothing wrong with her saying that, because that's the truth, that's honest. They do need to know that there is a thing of your guardian just needing time for themselves. That helps them understand boundaries, that helps them understand also how to set healthy boundaries for themselves, helps them understand when to hold them and when to fold them, when to walk away, when to run, and that everybody is not abandoning them. Some people are just getting some air. Some people are genuinely just getting some air, and they'll be back even better than before. And honestly, Wanda should have got the air first, to be honest. Everything's happening in divine design, right? However, hindsight is 2020, right? She should have gotten the air first, because you take off on your vacation and then you go do more work, okay? But that was a result of her ignorance. That was a result of her thinking that being a housewife doing the mommy thing wouldn't be like actual work. So the way it played out, the way it happened, is like, not only did it give her opportunity to gain a new respect and realize like the actual work and therefore worth of being a housewife and mom, but also it taught her her worth as a wife and motherly figure, simply as she is. She's not any less worthy. She's not a bad wife. She's not a bad mother figure, a bad aunt, or a bad guardian because she's not like maternal in the ways of getting the kids up perfectly and getting them dressed and feeding them and all this other stuff. She do all of the other things. She does what she do to the best of her ability, and that's why she's worthy, because she is her, and she always strives to be her best. She always is grasping for the best. People who dwell on small victories to the point of big ones, people who are solution oriented in such a way, those are the people you really want to keep around, especially if you want more greater good for yourself. Nobody's perfect, but it really goes a long way to have people on your team that be happy over little shit. For real. Because that's the concept of being fruitful and multiplying. That is Wanda's Empress energy. She's not the Empress with the baby on her titty and the fruit basket on her head. But she's the Empress that she is. Fruitful and multiplying in all of the greater good ways. Okay? Okay. And that's it too. I feel like Wanda didn't need a baby for real. She needed a rebirth. So yeah, it's like wrap up the conversation, and Bernie is being the good, suave, good man that he is, that we know him to be, validating and reassuring our girl the way she deserves, okay? They wrap up the episode with their final confessional, eating a snack, they like some good snacks, okay? Look like a mismatch of popping corns, look like we got some caramel corns, some cheddar corns, probably some chocolate corns, all of the corns. And Wanda is eating up all the snacks. Like, she got big handfuls. Big handfuls of the snacks. She is chumping, okay? And needless to say, it seems she's feeling better, huh? Bernie like, can I get some? Okay, that's how he looking. That's how his face is looking. Can I get some? Do you mind if I do? All right. And Wanda is chit-chatting. She like, it was a rough patch, but I said my piece. And now my husband understands my feelings. Bernie said, check it. Okay, I'm going to be straight with you, all right? Okay? You my wife and I love you. So, I respect you enough to say, if you want to have a baby, we can put it on the table. Okay? We ain't gonna take it off the table yet. It don't mean yes or no or nothing. It's just on the table. It's on the table. That's it. Just right there. This is what it is. What it's gonna be. It's just right there. It's just on the table. All right? And so Wanda is giddy about that. She's satisfied with it. She kissed him in the mouth. All that good. Yeah. Uh-huh. And so Bernie is feeling that one, right? He feeling it, that telepathic shift on a soul level. So he tell Miracle to give him some privacy. Oh, my bad. He was telling her to give us some privacy. Is in us as in Miracle, us Miracle, and him. All right then. What you got for me, Bernie? What you need privacy for, women? Let me stop. Long live Bernie Mac, child. So as he puts her out, he shifts the vibes himself and he like, see, I thought she'd never leave. She must be crazy than a Carolina River cricket. Bernie Mac ain't have no doggone baby. Y'all better tell her. Y'all better tell her before I hurt her feelings. Case closed, at least for now. People change. I ain't changing. I ain't changing my mind for nothing. 44, running around with some doggone baby goo goo got my ass. Excuse me. Y'all know I ain't crazy. Y'all know I ain't tripping. You feel the same way. What I look like sitting up here getting up. You got to change him in the middle of the doggone night. 50. He'll be 5. Sitting there on the swing, pushing somebody. Boy, grab his chest. You crazy. Have a damn baby. Now look, I gotta be honest. I don't really blame him. I don't really blame him because y'all just got 3 new kids out the woodwork. Shit. I know it's different when you're talking about having one of your own, going through the process of it yourself, it's your own DNA and all that good stuff. I don't think Wanda really want no baby like talking about though. Like I said, she ain't need to birth no baby for real. She needed a rebirth for herself. That's what was going on there. I don't think she wanted a baby for real. I just think she wanted to know that she could change her mind in peace. I think she wanted to know that she could do some different shit and he'll still love her for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's how a lot of women feel, child. That's how a lot of women feel. It's a lot of women out here suffering in silence because they feel like if they do anything different outside of what they was doing when they first got with a man, that the man is gonna leave them. And that is so sad. That is extremely sad. That is extremely sad. And it's 2025, honey. And I don't know, like, I guess we need more depictions of this type thing, of women and men having healthy conversations, okay, where disagreements happen, okay, things might get a little challenging, but they don't go too far. They don't just straight up just get disrespectful, and they find their way back, okay. Because it doesn't go far, it doesn't go too far and get all disrespectful and shit. It's able to find its way back and find its way to new and better territory, child. Okay, people changing their minds, speaking their piece, and all of these things, and nobody died. Nobody got busted upside the head, right? Nobody got cut. No cops were called. No papers were filed. Okay? Everybody is still here. Here. And with all that being said, y'all, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. And I am thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back with these winning quarters for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in always light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.